Hey, howdy, this is Rick, coming to you from, well, it's been kind of off and on rainy this morning. Getting ready to have some kind of a cold front come through. But anyways, welcome and happy Thanksgiving, you guys. I'm in a place where, I've got tons and tons of things to do, trying to get past this hurricane and trying to get on top of money and trying to do these businesses here with you guys at the same time. And, it's kind of fun. It's not easy. I've listened to people complain that they spend all their time on these videos and they don't get paid for them and stuff like that. And that they beg you for money and stuff, please, and then they put out all these lies, in fact, that's how I see most all of these, unless you're putting out some kind of garbage crap, literally pictures of people shitting or turds in the toilets and stuff like that. Those are the people that are millionaires now, that are going around showing what they eat for supper. We sit around and watch people eat, stuff like that. Well, this is an information channel, and you either get it or you don't get it. Because what I talk about is about a particular code, a number system that is, shouldn't be too far-fetched from people's minds, that when someone wanted to hide something within someone's text, that they would just change numbers or change words around, or they'd give a different meaning for something, or somehow or another within this would be a cryptid message, And that seems to be really hard for people to understand because, again, it's something they can't see. But in our situation, when we're looking at the Bible, there are words that you can see, and there are numbers that we can see. And if you want to believe that the number, of 35 was, was such and such, that's his real number, you'll find that it's really it was the 8, Where do we get this from? Well, the Bible tells us that there's two ways to read the Bible, by what you see and by the Spirit and what you don't see. And of course, we're told that they minister their Bible by what they don't see. But what they don't tell you is that they only write what they see. They only say, even if the apostles had gone about, if they had gotten the true story, which is what they asked, they said, why do you give us the keys to the kingdom and you tell them parables? All right? And he says, well, because it's given. To them, it's not. How tough is that to understand? That's part of the Bible. And it says the idea in Numbers and in I'll look for it later. The idea of wisdom is knowing the dark sayings. God speaks to us in dark sayings. That's dark means hidden. Something's behind it. Listen, if something doesn't making sense to you, maybe it's going a little too fast. But basically, what's happening is that in all Scripture that has anything to do with God Almighty, upstairs, downstairs, wherever the hell you are, any Scripture, and we're talking the Tao, we're talking Hindu, we're talking Buddhist Scriptures, we're talking about Sanskrit writing, we're talking about the Sumerian, tablets, we're talking about the emerald tablets of Thoth. We're talking about the Hopi prophecies, the end time stories, the Rock. We're talking about fairy tales like what's it, Cinderella, and the story about Jack climbing up a beanstalk. All of these stories are about going up into heaven, going up into this place, and there's a code in there. There's 3 of these, and 2 of those, and 4 of this, and then 5 of that, and then 6 happens, and then 7, and then bam, 8 pops in, and boom, goes on. This is the story. This is what I just went through, was the positive side. The other ones are going down the opposite way. Boom, 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 boom. But it's just showing you that there's 2 ways to go. You're going up with this energy, or you're coming down with this energy. But by the end of the story is to bring mother and father together. all right, to obey, to honor mother and father. And you'll see Jesus talks about it all the time. You guys aren't doing it. You guys are told to do this, to honor mother and father. None of you are doing it. What is so important about mom and dad? Do you know my mom and dad beat the fuck out of me? Oh yeah, there's something great because I came out of it. I even told them I love you for taking care of me and making me this person that I am today. If it wasn't for the asshole way that you brought me up, I wouldn't be here today. That's what I think about my mom and dad. That's what it is, that they're not the mom and dad they're talking about. It's talking about the right and left side of your brains. But again, it's so hard to understand what I'm saying, But it talks about the kingdom being inside of you. When you go inside of you, you'll find that you have no eyes, you have no mind, you have nothing. It's all gone. You don't know anything about this energy, and all this talk and all this dogma and all this crap brought about by religion is just garbage. It's absolute garbage. It doesn't matter if it's been spoke of for 2, 3, 4,000 years. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make it the truth. So here it is at the end of this long, long, long line. Everybody's talking about the end of times and end of times, and I go and find out what the end of times actually means. And that means when you have had enough of the outside world, you then turn inside. Meet yourself for the first time. There's your second coming. All right? There's your Christ. There's your second coming. Let's rebuild that temple. All right? That's all that is. All these stories are about you coming back home. Because that's the code underneath all of these stories. One simple thing. Come home. Come home. It keeps revealing this idea that there is an electrical pathway within inside of you. And all you have to do is learn the way to go in. And with the law, join mother and father together. That's it. Don't have to make any sense. If I'm not making any sense, it's because, hey, how am I trying to read the Bible? Like a 2 or 3 year old kid, as I'm reading, going slow, trying to read those funky words. Listen, I listened to the book of Jasher yesterday during my work. I listened to the story of another version of the Adam and Eve story. It's no different. It's the same story. I've tuned my ear to this thing. It's saying the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. That snake that charms the woman, that's you talking to your mind. When you get that little itch to go and do something, she's the one that does it. She's the one that asked the damsel for John the Baptist's head. All right? Don't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense when the mother of us all is looking to change the way that her man, her other side, her husband, is acting. So she puts a little hint. She goes, take his head. Take his head. Bring it up to me. It was a beautiful story, but if you read things on the outside of the Bible, it's mean and awful and horrible. And you just happen to live on this. People they like the taste of blood, It's really hard for anybody to see past that because that's the cool part, It's the physical thing because they can't see it. But when Solomon has 700 wives, one of those wives winds up being his let's see, yeah, he has 700 wives. I'm talking about Moses. He finds 7 sisters. And he takes the oldest sister for his wife. You know that lady's name means bird. It's the name of a bird. You guys, it's not that hard. All you have to do is just learn that that's the thing. So I'm tuning your ear into it. We've already got the idea that there's this idea that there is a plain or land or a field of a forest. We're looking at trees, so we're out here with the world and we're in the forest. All right, there's also the desert. These are all lower areas. All right, and there's always this little river or water between us and this other side, and this higher side is a mountain. It's a higher mountain. It's the higher side. Everything is always going to be higher or to the east, where the sun is rising. That's what that is. The sunrise. So Jews and Judaism and Jews themselves, they pitch their tents to the right side. All right? The children of light. Not these guys in the book. They're not doing it. Not even Christians are doing it. You know? So what does it matter? You know? The idea that they're all fundamental. You know? The Buddhists are going fundamental. Krishna, fundamental. All of these are fundamental. That means that, you know, all the people are real. All of the situations are history. And then you bring this myth alive. And then we live lies. You know? You know, that's what this... That's basically what the whole idea of beta conscious is about. And of course, there's another whole idea because something we can't see. There's 4 stages of consciousness, actually 5, but 4 would be the one that we're living on right now, which the Bible tells us is bad and would like for us to every now and then augment our reality by coming in with the law and creating a balance within ourselves that this actually would reflect in the outside world and give a better, you know, a more beautiful thing going on because you're using things from the higher mind. It's the whole idea about you coming in on a horse and it's bridled, you know. That's the idea. Now, because you are this animal, you know, this isn't religion. This would be a whore riding on the back of an animal. That's religion, all right? But if you can't get religion out of you, then and just understand that you are drunk off the wine of her fornications. You know, you just can't get enough of it. You know. But in reality, to understand that that Babylon is that lower place, that lower mind, all of it, and she's the whore of Babylon. You know, she's the one that kills people. She's religion for Babylon. Babylon is not a city, not a state, not a country. It's the lower mind, and you can say that that's the whole world. All right, come on. This is the truth. I don't have to make it up. It's telling me in the Bible. And I've been given this wonderful little mind to help understand and to show you that. When I am not being understood, it's because it's just hard to follow some of these things sometimes. Like, how would you know that the woman that had some kind of a blood problem, she had the plague, that blood problem, blood meaning spirit? Well, who told you that, you know? Well, I got a book on that. I had to learn some things, you know. But once you learn that spirit is what's inside of you and blood is what's inside of you, then you'll be able to understand that perhaps this is what they're talking about. And, you know, if you're religious based, you won't even think like that. Oh no. That's new age, you know. Up, cancel it, boom, go back into the dark ages. And that means you. Means you on your inside are dark. You don't have that light on. You know, no matter how beautiful and pretty you are, you ain't got no light in you, baby. That makes you dead. Do you know that just right now, I'm talking to dead people, those that come on here and don't want to understand what I say or can't understand what I say, or believe the Bible is the rule of it all and go right back into their darkness. Keeps them separated from God. That's what death is in the human being. That's what it means to be dead. All right? You can be alive and walking around. What does it mean when we go into meditation? We kill ourselves, right? We hang our 5 senses on a cross. You know, we take up the cross, and in Jesus' name we pray, right? But you guys do that on the outside, you know? You're not going to get anywhere. It's an abomination, you know? Thou shalt not be with mankind, or lie with mankind like you would with womankind, you know? That's because womankind in our Bible is the right side of our mind. To toss our nets over to the right side of the boat for where we feed, where we get our food from, where we get our fish. You understand, fish in our Bible is really hard to find. There's a drought. But when Jesus tells them what to do, they get a whole bunch of fish. They get 153. That's 9. And they tossed it over to the right side. 9 is in duality, which means there's 2 sides on it. There's a good side and a bad side. When you turn if you're constantly feeding out of the left side of your brain, then you're the beast of Scripture. If you're feeding your mind from religion, then you're the biblical homo that they have calling it out, But this idea of womankind is about spirituality. Womankind is the invisible side of us. When you go into to meditation, you're cutting off the male side of the brain. And so all the males and all the stories, the guards of the prison go to sleep. And the door opens to the prison for you to get out. How hard is that to understand? Can you not see what that is like? It's symbolic. That once you shut down everything, and that this is how Krishna is born, right? This is also how Odin brings about his children, all right? Come on. These are all different people, and they all have the same code going on inside them. They aren't real people. It's too mechanical to be, I wrote this. This is my personality in this one. Well, personalities? Really? Personalities inside these writings? Yeah. There's so much. Oh my God. It's so mechanical, it's crazy. And people don't write like that unless there is a formula and they are told to do this. This is how they do this. This is the direction for this. If on number 3, if this does not have something to do with 3 things joining together, or or 3 things falling apart, just the opposite, then it's not supposed to be there. That's how you know it's fake. You could follow the number system, and you would know that when you came to number 4, if there's nothing in there that has something to do with worlds, then it's not about that world. If you come down to the number 5, and it doesn't say anything about skin, and now skin has to do with growth, has to do with trees, has to do with lamb skin, it's a sacrifice, bread, for thoughts. Oh my God, this is where it becomes confusing, But you'll find that basically there's a cadence to the stories, and you can see it. When Moses, they start off the stories with Moses. What do? He comes to a well, and these women show up to pour him water. The men in the town show up and they run the girls off. Then Moses stands up, all right, which stands up, straighten out your back, make way, make straight way. Come on. Jesus speaks, straight way, make straight away, straight away, and straight away, straight way, straight way. What does that mean? Let's make straight the way of the Lord. Let's get all our chakra systems up in the road, this narrow path, this highway to heaven, this stairway to heaven, this rainbow bridge, this covenant that we have with the Lord. Come on. Isn't any of this stuff clicking? This is an episode we're working on our ears, all right? We're connecting it to words, all right? The dark side of those words, the dark sayings. If thou shalt not hate themselves, their mother, their father, brothers and sisters, and yea, even themselves, they cannot follow me. Oh yes, and verily I say to you that if thou shalt not come to me as a child, they cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. Oh, wow, let's take that. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh, let's read that. Let's read that at the letter. What does it sound? Sounds pretty mean, doesn't it? Except for the child part. But that idea, the child doesn't get lost in the meanness sides, Spare the rod, spoil the child. How many have been hit because God said to your mother and father, beat that motherfucker. You know, you spare it, he's going to be spoiled. You know, and all they're really talking about is that if you learn how to meditate, you can be probably a healthier human being. That's all. That's all it was about. That's all it was. Spare the rod and you spoil the child. At the same time, if you think about it, that spoil would mean to make sick, right? To be, you know, less than what it is. So if you do not use the rod, the child is never born. You might as well be feeding, in which you have. You've given the baby over to the devil. That's the lower mind. So you're Baphomet, you're Baal, you're all of these guys. You understand? That's the destroyer side, you know? You're Shiva, you know? But in this dance that Shiva is doing, she's actually, you know, in religion they would say, oh, she's the bad one. No. She's got all of everything. This Shiva is all three things in one. She's already together. It's he or she or whatever it is. All three are together, and in this dance, it's this dance of destruction that once you have brought this woman or brought this energy up to the seventh chakra, just like with God and his wrath, Shiva and her destruction, same thing. It's a positive thing. You clean out the inside of your body. You know, when you make those things scary and awful and, you know, at the end of times, oh, judgment, you know, rapture, where two will be in the field. Two is you and me, or you, the person, in duality, will be in the field. Woman's will be, you know, she'll be in the kitchen, you know, or they'll be in grinding something, you know. One will be left behind. Left, they actually say it, left behind, and the other would be lifted. That's how it is. That's the way it is. You know? And it's not that there's going to be two people in one place and one go. To tell you the truth, if you're going to do what the Bible says, on that rapture, when God comes and Jesus comes into the clouds, and you can see him coming in the clouds, but then he tells you can't see him, you know, the God's going to be coming in the cloud, and he'll have all his angels with him, you know. That'll be a glorious day when you see that happening. You guys, it's a positive thing. It's all positive. And if you can't understand what it is that all of these symbols are saying, they're saying, don't believe in the outside world. Don't go to the outside world for your food, for your spiritual food. Come to me. Don't go to the whore of Babylon. Come to the mother of us all. Come to Jerusalem, which is above. Don't go to Jerusalem, which is below, that is in bondage. Do you understand? That's what the Bible is talking about. Now, if I go through each one of these scriptures, because they're all really going to say the same thing, they don't. We just learned of all these neat little things, you know, legion, I am legion, for we are many. You know, and then we find that he's cleared and cleaned when he hangs out with Jesus and he winds up in his right mind. You know, it just can't get any simpler than that. I am like, my God, I'm beside myself when I'm saying these things, you know. But I'm not, because I'm not in meditation. But you'll see that, you know, go kill yourself. Get yourself into a better light, you know. Get rid of the old you. Bring on the new you. This would be the new body, be the new wineskin, and the new mind, or the new what is the spirit? Wine. So let's take that wine. What wine is also blood? Remember the wrath of, you know, the wrath of God. You know, it's like it being in a wine press. Because what it's talking about is getting rid of the outside of you, which would be the skin, the wine skin. Pressing on the outside and letting out what's inside, and then serving this up to God. That's your tithe, your 10%, that little bit of you going over there. But when you come back, there's more of you. There's no little you no more. God says he puts a little, comes right out and claims this is mine. This is all mine. That's number 9. When you see it one time, you know, Jesus, one of the last stories that we spoke about with this Mark, We got to one of the nines, and the 9 was when it started talking about legion, for there are many of us. This is his mind. His mind is actually controlled by this evil side of him, and that's the way it is. So you go to the next 9, after 1, 2, 3, 4 of the worlds where you are traveling, you're changing your mind from the lower conscious into the higher conscious, and you have to travel through the world, which includes going in from the skin side, which is the intellectual side, the mind. And you only came through this because the female put it in your mind, which is the northern side, which is our emotions in red. And the body is ready to go, which is the south and our physical side. They're all lined up, just like in the 4 musicians. And then we finally get to the east, and we made it to the mountain. That's a change of mind. Then the 9 is now a higher side. Now it's mine. You know, he's now joined with God. He asked, may I go with you? So you'll see that, you know, once you tune your mind and your ear, you can mix all these scriptures together because they're all talking about the same thing, you know. When that guy got up to see the desolation and isolation, it's just like, it's the same as Jacob revealing that he saw God face to face. When he saw this ladder and energies going up and down and up and down, you know. And he sees God's face to face, and he calls the place Pineal. You know, come on. I guess it's a reach. I guess it's a reach that the pineal gland just happens to be the seat of God. This is that little throne, that little place that you sit on when you go and communicate with the Lord. Say, pull up a stone. Pull up a stone, join me. You know? So it's missing all the blood. And so it's missing all the violence. It's missing hatred. And it's missing, you know, separations, you know. Don't do this. This is, no. All of us have this in here. All of us have the chance to be this Jew, to be this chosen one of God. And in these other scriptures, it would be like, who would like to be like the perfect human being, the ideal specimen on earth, is someone that has connected both sides of their brains together, you know. And that you would find that, you know, because religion has taken that inside groove and made it illegal, made it demonic. The single eye and the pineal gland, all these things are evil, and witchcraft and stuff like that. This is what I have to go through, you know. Stupid garbage. Because this is what happens to your mind. Your mind on religion means that you will believe in anything. Talking horses, you know, virgin births. Oh shit, man, horses flying in the sky. Everything that it takes to take you off the truth and into this fairy tale world that we live in today. You know, it's a wonder we've made it this far. But it is predicted that it's going to be religion and dogma that destroys us yet again. And we'll find that, you know, what is that? What is that? What is that? That's the choice. God gave us a choice. You either do this or you do that. But man takes God's choices that he's given you, takes one of them away. He says, this is the choice. This is the direction that you can go in. You cannot go inside of you. And so whoever runs things has had you working off the wrong side of the Bible, the wrong side of God, all these years. And you know what? These are the dead people that I'm trying to reach. This is the dead, you know. But yeah, it's hard to tell people that are actually connected. They have to tell you, yeah, I'm a born-again Buddhist, you know. But, you know, dead people are everywhere. How can you not talk to them? You can be with them, be just as dead as they are, you know. It's plenty to talk about, Look at me, I'm talking to dead people and trying to bring them alive. And you know what that means? I brought Lazarus alive. I brought someone alive. I brought him back to life. You know? I opened their eyes. There goes the blind. I unplugged the ears. There goes the deaf. Oh my God. Restores their heart. Makes it soft and pliable again. You know? What's wrong with this side of the Bible? What's wrong with the spiritual side of the Bible? It just doesn't get that. It's just not as fun. You know? You don't get to kill anyone. You don't get to hate anyone. You don't get to, well, it's just the most hateful thing. They say it's beautiful, this and that, but listen, you know, I wanted to know, how is it that you're going to kill yourself and come as a child and hate yourself and all this stuff, you know? You just yada, yada, yada over that part of the Bible. It's a command. It's a command. If you do not do what the Bible tells you to do, then you're dead. You're a widow. And that bitch, that whore, Babylon, will come over and rob you blind. Here is your desolation. This is your abomination. This is the left side of your brain. Left, just a big cesspool. The inside of you is mess. You got this, what do they call it? I can't say that word. Specular or skepular, you know, whatever this idea of, you know, Jesus comes right out and says, you know, oh, you guys, you look so beautiful and pretty, you know, like a tomb, you know, and you're just but full of decay on the outside. You look so pretty on the outside or whatever, but you look so awful and pathetic and filthy, and death resides on the inside. And from the teachings of Buddha and Krishna and Christ, this way is meant to clean the inside of the cup. That's all it is. So, you know, it's one of those things. Now, I probably wouldn't have to say another damn thing about our Bible and these things unless I'm still going to go out and find them. But this code isn't everything. This code keeps anyone from being real in these books. Absolutely keeps them all as a mechanical piece, just like a timepiece or some kind of a cog in a wheel someplace. Actually, more like energies that you can't see, but are very real and represent these different people and different mechanisms within our body. This is the truth. This comes out of the Bible. It is not my opinion. This is the truth. And it's not hard to understand. Alright? So anyways, this is Thanksgiving. I wanted to say happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for my mind. I'm thankful for my friends, whether they enjoy what I do or not, or understand. I don't care. I'm thankful for you guys that are out there listening, you know. Even if there is only a few of you, it doesn't matter. This is a road less traveled, and I'm just trying to get information out there. You can very well get up and talk about this shit too. It isn't my way. It's God's way. Alright? And it belongs to everyone. Alright? So, get out there. This consciousness of Delta is just, you know, a natural flow. Once you cut off Beta and kill yourself, you slip into the water and you lose your garments. That's you're washing your feet. Slip into the water. When you come out on the other side of that water, you're in spirit now. Alright? And then you come into the air, which is theta conscious. Jesus comes in the air, you know, riding on his horse, you know. There's nothing more beautiful than seeing the Son of Man coming, you know, with his men behind him, you know, with his angels behind him, because, you know, he's about to be exalted. He's about to be brought into a brighter beam. And that's all that's about. Alright? So get up there. Delta is ready when you are. And what you'll get out of that is the new mind. You'll find that that's all that this body, this all God is asking for is for you to change your mind. How the way you think. You know? And it can't be. It cannot be so complicated that you don't understand it. You know, the outside world makes it seem very complicated, but all you really have to do is, you know, follow the rules. Jesus says to take no thought. He's telling you to go into your closet, shut the door. He tells you to pray like this, and it's the descent. Jesus is the Christ descent into hell by the chakra system. And then hell is the lower levels of the world, coming from fall or Libra, when you're going in to balance your cross. You get down to midnight when all these things start happening in the book. You know, it's about midnight when things are happening. You know, this is this idea that you know, even Cinderella had to get back by midnight or all the magic would be gone. You know, but the Cinderella story, she is working on bringing the two together. She opens her door, the very beginning of the story, just like with Moses. You see her opening the door, and the prince, whatever, comes in on a horse. He stops at the well. She comes out of the gate, out of this little place, in her own little world, in her own way. She can do wherever she wants to do. She sits on a little chair by the hearth, you know, stoking the fires and the ash. That's where she does. And she comes out and she draws water from the well for this prince. This idea of drawing water from the well is going into the pure water and digging deep into the mind where it's beautiful. And you have to go deep inside Earth to find this. This is why I talk about the ibis all the time. Going deep inside in order to get this place. You're going into darkness. You're going into before you could find this place. So anyways, just learn to think symbolically and everything will be fine. You don't have to worry about how confusing it is. You know, it's only confusing trying to tell it. I've been telling the story forever and ever. If you went back 2-3 years ago, oh man, the way I was, that's hardly made any sense at all. Only because I was throwing everything together, and it was just like, wow. It was like, damn, this is like a smorgasbord of symbolism. But you know, after about 4 or 5 years of this kind of, you know, chatting with people and talking with people, it's becoming pretty simple, becoming easier to talk about. And to me, it's just so clear, amazingly clear. So when you go into that deep little well to pull this stuff up, this idea of the well is that this is where you shirk the body. You wash your feet, you know, wash your hands, wash your feet. You got to be clean when you go over to the other side, because flesh and blood is not allowed in heaven. It's never been allowed in heaven. But these guys are looking for a full body, you know. Whenever it's time to go, they're leaving only their clothes on the ground. You know, if you've seen some of these things, that, you know, like I said, this is total bullshit, you know, and it distracts you. And I guess what it does is it euthanizes you in some way, that you're allowed to take all this garbage, you know, and you're waiting for that one day when God's going to come down and kill you. But you'll find that that's the story too about Jonah. You'll find that, you know, the lesson from Jonah was that God does not kill or destroy things with swords. That he changes people's minds. He gets them to change their mind. He can't do it. He gets them. You have to initiate it. Like I said, you know, he can't come down there and say, you're mine, you're mine, you're mine. No. He does pick you in a sense, because when you go up there to see him and you ain't ready, your chakras and stuff, then it won't open. The doors just won't open for you, you know. So you'll see that it has its own little regulation device that, you know. But if you kept going up and you kept going up, you become that neighbor that's constantly bothering your neighbor. knocking at his door, wanting things, needing things, wanting things. You know, the mind knows that you're doing it. God's in your mind. He's not outside of you someplace having to guess where you are and who you are, you know, and disseminate you amongst the billions of people. Listen, to be that Jew is to be someone who is inwardly. To be a chosen one is someone who is inwardly, not outwardly. Alright, so that knocks religion, it knocks any race. It just has to be someone that comes in and sups with the Lord. You're either within, wanting to communicate with the Lord, or you were without wanting to communicate. Alright? Alright, so anyways, I think I've given a whole mess of shit in here for your brains. If you want to challenge any of that, please challenge me against the real world. Please, you know. This is how I sharpen my claws. Yeah, they're not really sharp. Anyways, happy Thanksgiving. And best to you. I really love y'all. I do.